This is a short video to demonstrate the power of the Metcal soldering iron system. This is not a very well known product by any means today, with a lot of the devices you see from Heiko, and Metcal sort of pioneered that. They started about 36 years ago. They came out with the RF soldering system, and it was revolutionary in the day for the accuracy of temperature, which is important in manufacturing processes, as well as the ability to deliver a lot of power into the workpiece. I used to have a Weller fairly sophisticated soldering system, and one day in manufacturing I saw these black boxes all over and these little tiny lightweight soldering irons. And I thought, well, that's kind of strange. What's so special about those? And this youngster who was repairing rework on manufacturing said, well, that's a Metcal. Oh, yeah, I can read. But I said, what makes it so special? He said, oh, well, watch. He gave me a demonstration, and I went back and got rid of my Weller with all the fancy knobs and stuff because I was sold from day one. This is an RF soldering iron, meaning the heat is actually coming from 13.56 megahertz RF energy down to the cartridge. This has the heater here at the end of it. This has a chisel, about a 1/16 inch chisel tip on it. And I'm going to show you how fast this works. Call it the Metcal challenge. And anyone else with a fast soldering iron can try and beat this, but it's going to be hard. I'm going to wet this penny with solder, and it'll happen very quickly. So the time is from the time I turn on the switch, which you'll hear, until the time the penny gets wet with solder. Let's zoom in here so you can see what's going on. Try and keep my hand out of the way. All right, that'll work. So everything here is at room temperature. Nothing's preheated. So I'm going to put the cartridge into the iron, turn it on. You'll see the power meter here. When I click the switch, it's going to come up here around 45 watts as it heats up the tip. And as the needle starts backing down, the tip has reached its programmed temperature, which is done at the factory. The Metcal stands for metal calibration. The calibration is in the alloy of the tip. And as a result of that, it never needs calibrating on factory floor, which is another advantage. But the thing solders so fast, it has to be seen. So watch the meter, and you'll see when I contact the penny, that needle will come back up as it starts dumping heat into the penny. Here we go. Okay, 25. As it starts to warm up, it starts to let more power in. You can see it's already starting to smoke over here, and it's now melting solder just fine. So this tip is hot, and now it's in contact with the penny. And if I could quit shaking from all that coffee, there we go. Wetted the penny, and that was from a cold start. You'll have a better view of the power meter, and you can observe as the hot tip contacts the penny, power starts to flow through the tip into the penny. Hopefully you can see that well. Again, nothing's been preheated. 25 watts to start, starts to smoke. We're up to almost 45, and now it's up to temperature when it backs off the power. And you'll see once I get a thermal path into the penny, there goes the power again. Oops. There it is, wetted. That easy. Now I'll turn it off. They do give you one of these silicone pads to change cartridges while they're hot. You grab it with your fingers like that, and you can put in a different tip, different rework tips that Metcal has. And of course, they also get you into the ecosystem. I'll zoom back out here. These are the Metcal rework tweezers. They're actually a power divider in there to two different tips that allow you to pick up parts with them. And this has got to be my favorite rework tool of all time. This is a desoldering tool from Metcal, of course. Also works off the 13.56 megahertz RF. The cartridge in this one is very interesting. You'll notice it's bigger, it has this tube protrusion down here, and that tube is fed from the molten solder up at the tip. Try and zoom in here on that so you can see it. So this is a vacuum desoldering system from Metcal. When you press the trigger and you have shop air going into it around 80 psi, the Venturi pulls all the molten solder out of your joint. This will take the full 45 watts out of this supply and dump it into the rework piece. You can unsolder huge 2-3 millimeter pins, high power pins with that. And of course, Metcal also, once you're in their ecosystem, you end up buying tips for every type of connection that you would make. And they sell different temperature tips from 500 up to, I think, 700 degrees Fahrenheit. As a matter of fact, Amazon is now stocking the Metcal tips, which makes it very convenient. If anyone else can pass that challenge of, thing's still hot, the Metcal penny test, post it on YouTube, please. Have a good one.